Welcome once again to our commerce classroom. In this session, we will discuss about contract of indemnity and guarantee. Sessions 124 to 147. Contract of indemnity. A contract by which one party promises to save the other from loss caused to him by the conduct of the promiser himself or by the conduct of any other person. Session 124. The person who promises to make good the loss is called the indemnifier or promiser, and the person whose loss is to be made good is called indemnified or indemnity holder or promisee. A contract of indemnity is really a class of contingent contracts. Example: A contract to indemnify B against the consequences of any proceedings which C may take against B in respect of a certain sum of rupees 2000. This is a contract of indemnity. A is the indemnifier or promiser and B is the indemnified or promisee. Then we discuss about rights of indemnity holder when sued. Session 125 deals with rights of the indemnity holder when sued. According to it, an indemnity holder is entitled to recover from the promiser, firstly, all damages which he is compelled to pay in any suit in respect of any matter to which the promise to indemnify applies. Secondly, all cost which he is compelled to pay in bringing or defending such suits, but the indemnified should have acted as any prudent man would act under similar circumstances in his own case or with the authority of the indemnifier. Thirdly, all sums which he may have paid under the terms of any compromise of any such suit, the compromise should not be contrary to the orders of the indemnifier and should be prudent or authorized by the indemnifier. Then rights of indemnifier. The Indian Contract Act is silent regarding the rights of the indemnifier in a contract of indemnity. It may, however, be said that indemnifier's rights are the same as those of a surety, which are the essential part of law. Then we discuss about contract of guarantee. Contract of guarantee. A contract of guarantee is a contract to perform the promise or discharge the liability of a third person in case of his default. A contract of guarantee involves three parties: the surety, the creditor, and the principal debtor. The person who gives the guarantee is called the surety. The person in respect of whose default the guarantee is given is called the principal debtor, and the person to whom the guarantee is given is called the creditor. Example: S requests C to lend rupees 5000 to P. S guarantees that if P fails to pay the amount, he will pay. This is a contract of guarantee. S in this case is the surety, C the creditor, and P the principal debtor. Then we discuss about essential features of contract of guarantee. First feature: a contract of guarantee is a triplicate agreement between the principal debtor, creditor, and surety. Second feature: the contract of guarantee requires the identity of mind of all the said three persons in respect of the subject matter of the contract. Third feature: there must be an existing liability or a promise whose performance is guaranteed. Such a liability or promise must be enforceable by law. Fourth feature, the primary liability in a contract of guarantee is that of the principal debtor. The liability of surety is secondary. Fifth feature, all the essential elements of a valid contract must be present in a contract of guarantee. However, the following points are worth noting in this regard. First point, the principal debtor need not be competent to contract. In case the principal debtor is not competent to contract, the surety would be regarded as principal debtor and would be personally liable to pay. Second point, surety need not be benefited. Anything done or any promise made for the benefit of the principal debtor may be a sufficient consideration to the surety for giving the guarantee. Third point, a contract of guarantee may be oral or in writing. Sixth feature of contract of guarantee, any guarantee which has been obtained by means of misrepresentation made by the creditor or with his knowledge and assent concerning a material part of the transaction is invalid. Seventh feature, any guarantee which the creditor has obtained by means of keeping silence as to material circumstances is invalid. Eighth feature, the liability of surety should arise only when the principal debtor makes a default. If surety's liability arises independent of the default of the principal debtor, it is not a contract of guarantee. Then, kinds of guarantee. Kinds of guarantee. A guarantee may be absolute or conditional. Absolute guarantee means a guarantee where the surety unconditionally promises to pay in case of default of the principal debtor. Conditional guarantee means a guarantee where the surety promises to pay in case of some event in addition to the default of the principal debtor happens. A guarantee may be retrospective or prospective. Where a guarantee is given for an existing debt, it is called retrospective guarantee. When a guarantee is given for a future debt, it is called prospective guarantee. A guarantee may be continuing or specific. A guarantee which extends to a series of transactions called a continuing guarantee. Where a guarantee is given for a single and particular transaction or debt, it is called specific or symbol guarantee. A guarantee may be limited or unlimited. A limited guarantee is one restricted to a single transaction. An unlimited guarantee is one which is unlimited either as to time or amount. Then we discuss about revocation of continuing guarantee. A continuing guarantee as to future transactions may be revoked in any of the following ways. Firstly, by notice of revocation by the surety, section 130. A continuing guarantee may at any time be revoked by the surety as to the future transactions by notice to the creditor. In such a case, the surety would not be responsible for future transactions which may be made by the principal debtor after surety has revoked the contract of guarantee. Secondly, by the death of the surety, section 131. In the absence of any contract to the contrary, the death of the surety operates as a revocation of a continuing guarantee as to the future transactions taking place after the death of the surety. Thirdly, by modes of discharging the surety. A continuing guarantee is also revoked in the same manner in which the surety is discharged, such as by novation, section 62, by variance in terms of contract, section 133, by release or discharge of principal debtor, section 134, by creditors act of omission, section 139, by loss of security, section 141. Then we discuss about rights of surety. A surety has certain rights against the creditor, the debtor, and co-sureties. As against the creditor. Before payment of the principal debt, a surety can file a suit for declaration that the principal debtor shall be the person liable to pay the amount. On payment of the principal debt, the surety steps into the shoes of the creditor, that is, he is entitled to be placed in the position of the creditor. As against the debtor, right of subrogation. On the default of the principal debtor, the surety can, after paying off the creditor, claim all the rights which the creditor had against the principal debtor. Right to claim indemnity. In every contract of guarantee, there is an implied promise by the principal debtor to indemnify the surety, and the surety is to recover from the principal debtor whatever sum he has paid rightfully under the guarantee, but no sums which he has paid wrongfully, example, cost of fruitless litigation. As against co-sureties. The co-sureties are, in the absence of any agreement to the contrary, liable to contribute equally. Where the co-sureties have agreed to guarantee different sums, they have to contribute equally subject to the maximum of the amount guaranteed by each one. Where there are co-sureties, a release by the creditor of one of them doesn't discharge the others, nor does it free the surety so released from his responsibility to the other sureties. Then we discuss about nature and extent of surety's liability. Firstly, the liability of a surety is secondary. The surety's liability arises only when the principal debtor makes a default. In this sense, his liability is secondary. Second point, the liability of the surety is coextensive with that of the principal debtor. The term coextensive with that of the principal debtor shows the quantum of surety's liability. The surety is liable for what the principal debtor is liable. The liability of surety is neither more nor be less than that of the principal debtor. By a special contract, it may be made less than that of the principal debtor, but never greater. The creditor may choose to proceed against the surety first, unless there is an agreement to the contrary. Then third point, commencement of surety's liability. The liability of surety arises immediately on the default of the debtor. Notice of default is not necessary to bring action against the surety. Discharge of surety from liability. A surety may be discharged from liability by the revocation of the contract of guarantee, by the conduct of the creditor, or by the invalidation of the contract. Discharge of surety by revocation. Revocation by giving notice, section 130. A surety may revoke the guarantee at any time by giving notice of revocation to the creditor. Revocation by death, section 131. In the absence of any contract to the contrary, the death of the surety operates as a termination of a continuing guarantee as to future transactions. Revocation by novation. A surety is discharged when a new contract of guarantee is substituted for an old one. Discharge of surety by the conduct of the creditor. By variance in terms of contract, section 133. If without the consent of the surety, the creditor makes any material change in the nature or terms of his contract with the principal debtor, the surety is discharged from liability. By release or discharge of the principal debtor, section 134. If there is any contract between the creditor and the principal debtor by which the debtor is released, then the surety will also be discharged. By compounding with or giving time to the principal debtor, section 135. A surety is discharged if the creditor, without the consent of the surety, makes an arrangement with the principal debtor for composition or promise to give him time for not to sue him, the surety will be discharged unless the surety assents to such contract. By creditor's act or omission impairing surety's eventual remedy, section 139. If the creditor does any act which is against the rights of the surety or omits to do any act which his duty to the surety requires him to do, the surety will be discharged. By loss of securities, section 141. If the creditor loses or parts with the securities belonging to the principal debtor without the consent of the surety, then the surety will be discharged from his liabilities to the extent of the value of the security. Discharge of surety by invalidation of contract. Guarantee obtained by misrepresentation, section 142. If the surety's consent to guarantee is obtained by the creditor by means of misrepresentation, then the contract becomes invalid and the surety gets discharged. Guarantee obtained by concealment, section 143. Any guarantee which a creditor has obtained by means of keeping silence to material circumstances is invalid. Condition regarding joining of co-surety, section 144. Where a contract of guarantee is entered into on the condition that the creditor shall not act upon it until another has joined as co-surety, the contract is void if the other party fails to join. Failure of consideration. The surety will be discharged on a substantial failure of consideration. Lack of any essential element of a valid contract. If any of the essential element of a valid contract is not present in a contract of guarantee, the contract is void and the surety is discharged. Then we discuss about distinction between contract of indemnity and contract of guarantee. First distinction. In a contract of indemnity, there are two parties, indemnifier and indemnity holder. In a contract of guarantee, there are three parties, the creditor, the principal debtor and the surety. Second distinction. A contract of indemnity is for the reimbursement of loss. A contract of guarantee is for the security of a debt or good conduct of an employee. Third distinction. In indemnity, there is only one contract between indemnifier and indemnified. In guarantee, there are three contracts, one between the principal debtor and the creditor, the second between the creditor and the surety, and the third between the surety and principal debtor. Fourth distinction. In a contract of indemnity, the liability of the indemnifier is primary in nature. In a contract of guarantee, the liability of surety is secondary, that is, the surety is liable only on default of principal debtor. Fifth distinction. In a contract of indemnity, the indemnifier acts independently without the request of the debtor or third party. In a contract of guarantee, it is necessary that the surety should give guarantee at the request of the debtor. Sixth distinction. In a contract of indemnity, in most cases there is no existing debt or duty, whereas in a contract of guarantee there is an existing debt or duty, the performance of which is guaranteed by the surety. Seventh distinction. In a contract of indemnity, indemnifier cannot bring a suit against a third party in his own name unless there is assignment of claim in his favor. In a contract of guarantee, the surety can proceed against the principal debtor in his own right after he has discharged the liability of the principal debtor. These are the distinctions between contract of indemnity and the contract of guarantee. I think the topic explained here, indemnity and guarantee, is clear for all of you. We will meet again in our coming sessions. Till then, goodbye.